Welcome to that Wall Street Tribe. So glad to introduce you, Ms. Callan Faulkner. Callan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you and learn a little bit about you. So you're an AI guru. You're a land investor. You're fabulous at sales. You've got a lot of things going on, and you've done this all really quickly, right? Joey's not good at any of those things, and you did it way before he would even have the time to do it. So for those listening, talk a little bit about why did you got into the land world, and where were you doing before that?
Yeah, so my whole career was in the technology space, so automation space. Are you guys familiar with the Enneagram personality test? Have you guys ever done that before?
Yes.
A little bit. Okay, so I'm a 3, which means I am obsessed with efficiency. I want things to be easy. If I could remodel my house to make it easier to take the garbage out, I will do that. I will just rewire the steps with obviously some impact on cost. But that's just how my brain is wired. I want things to be easy. I want things to feel flow. And so getting my when I was in my W-2, I was a VP of sales at a CRM consulting firm. So for those of you that don't know CRM, I was doing big tech implementations for corporations that were still using Excel docs. So I would come in, I'd help architect and be like, oh my gosh, you cannot do it like that. There's an easier way. We need to build workflows. We need to build systems that run without you. We need to make things easier. It's always been the way my brain is. I was a sales. I did Cutco sales growing up. I was always in sales and then kind of morphed into this automation architect. I did the thing where you listen to the podcast about real estate investing. You immediately are like, I'm a real estate investor. I just listened to 3 podcasts about it, so I might as well go be one. So I took a land investing course mid-2020, started getting into it. It pretty quickly got into some Facebook groups and people were like, how do I do an e-sign? I'm like, I can help you with that. How do I send a text to a seller and not send a mail? I'm like, I can help you with that. So I started this, my hand started raising. I started to kind of slowly take on some people that just needed help. I'm like, oh my God, you're going to pay me to set up an e-signing? Like, you're going to pay me to set up DocuSign? Is this real life? Like, okay, yes, absolutely. And they're like, can you just set up my system? I'm like, yes. That turned into me doing a group course, teaching them how to use CRM, how to build workflows, how to use tools like Zapier. So that's how REI Optimize was born. So REI is real estate investor. I was like, oh my gosh, this is lighting me up so much. I love it. I'm able to combine my knowledge of land investing with my automation background. So that's my consulting company.
If you've listened to our show for any length of time, you've heard us talk about infinite banking and how we were able to use that concept to create over $50,000 a month in passive income. But it's just not that easy to figure out, how does this all connect into my own personal system?
Steady. That's why we created the passive income operating system, bro. It shows you how to turn active income into passive income. It makes all the steps come together. If you would like to get access to it as a podcast listener, we've never given this away in public before. Go to what'swhatwallstreet.com/PIOS.
I started in the land investing space. How much does your audience know about land investing? Do you guys talk about it quite a bit?
We've been interviewing a number of people, right? But just so the person who's listening for the first time maybe not know, give us a 60-second run through.
Yeah. So the pitch for land investing that I was pitched originally is no tenants, termites, or toilets. So it's like, oh, it's just land. Well, guess what? Yeah, sure. Cool, looks cool on paper. There's a lot of other stuff that land has that houses don't have. So I feel like right now where I am, my relationship with land is the typical land business is a flipping business. And that business is, to me, honestly, it's a sales business. Like, you have to be sharp. Your acquisitions team has to be excellent. You are role playing. You have a team. That is a sales business if you are in a flipping business.
So to be successful in that world, you've got to be good at sales or have somebody in your game that's great at it.
Hell yeah. And like a lot of the things in land investing, they're not there as far along as the wholesaling businesses. So it's very new to the land investing space to even consider doing role playing and having objection handling and treating your acquisitions team like a sales team. Like, that's pretty foreign to land investors. So as I got into the land flipping business, I immediately was like, oh my God, this is literally a sales business. It made us successful, but it made me worn out. So that flipping model, for me, I was like, I would rather make money because you have to make money. You have to pay your bills. So
That's a good thing. Yes.
Yeah.
But what's this money you speak of?
Yeah, this money thing. It's like I don't know, it's paper, Bitcoin. I don't know. Well, who knows? We'll see if we even have money after this election. We'll know. We'll see if it exists. So with a land investing business, you have, it's like a wholesaling business too, right? You have kind of a tough decision to make. If you don't have any money coming in, you have to have a flipping business where you're making money from assignments, you're buying low, selling high, you're flipping land. Really soon, about 2 years into my land flipping business, we got a deal where it was I think it was a 8-acre property. We did something called a minor subdivide. So we literally took that 8-acre property and we subdivided it into a 4-acre and then 2 acres. Without doing anything, we took a property that was worth about $80K and made it worth about $140K. Okay.
That'll work. Yeah.
That was fun. I didn't do anything.
This is where the money comes in. That what you speak of. Okay.
Yes.
I'm following you.
The money I speak of. I'm no longer, the moment that happened, it was an intuitive like feeling in my body of, I'm not trying to convince this person that their land is worth less than $80,000, which, let's just be totally honest. If you're in a flipping business, you are buying something that's worth 80 for 40 or 50. And obviously there's reasons why they're doing that. They need the cash. They don't really care. They're trying to move quickly. There's a variety of reasons why they would sell for that. And that's amazing. And there are people that are making boatloads of money doing that. And that is fantastic. I really like this value add game. So value add to me is you are adding value to the land by learning a skill set. So a minor subdivide is that. A minor subdivide, you guys have probably heard the word subdivide. A minor subdivide is just a very simple way of doing a subdivide. There's not a public hearing. The neighbors aren't involved. It's literally some paperwork. You just fill some paperwork out, get a surveyor out there, replat the land. It's snap of a fingers. They sign off on that. Snap of a fingers, you can increase that property by 50%, 100%.
And so that was news to you, though. You weren't doing that or being told about that ahead of time.
No.
And also just assume that nobody really is following you on how does that increase the value? For someone
love that.
trying to understand.
Yes. How does that increase the value? So let's do simple math. Let's say you have a 10-acre dilapidated farm. It's just a farm. It's sitting in the path of progress. Path of progress meaning like there is development coming out that direction. It's 10 acres. Let's say in that area, the 2 to 5 acre properties are selling for $20,000 an acre. The 10-acre properties are selling for $10,000 an acre. So the smaller properties are worth more per acre than bigger properties. So more acreage, less value. If you have a 100-acre property, it's going to be worth, 2, 3, 4, 5K an acre. So as you have these smaller lots, you not always, that depends on the market, it depends on demand, it depends on, what are people buying in this area and what's attractive. But if you're in the right market, you are going to get an increase in value by creating smaller lots from a larger lot.
Well, because of that, now they're able to build a house on it, just an individual house as compared to, they don't want to be a farmer. They're not looking to do all
I don't need 10
work.
acres. What am I going to do with 10 acres? I got 3 kids. I want 2 acres. I want a ranchette. I want a 4-bedroom house with a 3-car garage and a nice yard. I don't need 10 acres. Yeah, now you're creating 5 homes out of, on a 10-acre property.
So you do this first 8-acre subdivide and your brain goes, Then what?
Click, 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 click. Then it goes, okay, how long did that process take? Well, start to finish about 6 months. Okay, so we went 6, paperwork, surveyor. Oh, surveyor's busy. Okay, getting the seller under contract, moving through, going title. Oh, title issue. Okay, and then selling off the other 3. It's a 6-month process. It can take 12 months. It could take 18. I'm working on a deal right now that's going to take, it'll be a 7-figure deal, but it's going to take 3 years, start to finish. So how am I paying my bills in between that time? I can't just hope for the best. So that really got my brain thinking, okay, I either have to go all in on my flipping business or I have to figure out a way, which I wanted to do anyways, to have my consulting business as a cash business and then take the cash from that business and start moving it into, we call this value add is called entitlements. So if you guys haven't heard this word before, An entitlement is when a local government approves something. So them approving the 8-acre lot to be a 4 and 2 twos, that's an entitlement. That technically is they subdivided it. An entitlement could also be like rezoning a piece of land. So when we did that process, we did have to do a rezone. So it was zoned ag. Zoning is the law. So the law said you can build one house for every 10 acres. Well, we looked around and there were other 2-acre properties nearby, and we're like, well, what are those zoned? Those are all zoned R1. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means that my property in R1, you could have one property for every 2 acres. Okay. So I'm looking at my zoning. We went to the county. We got an entitlement. We got a rezone complete, and then we got the subdivide complete.
But you're saying you're able to do that without having to go through a zoning meeting, like where you're not having to put a sign out in front of the land that says this land's being rezoned, show up down at the courthouse and raise hell that you don't want it subdivided.
Amazing question, Russ. It depends on the area, and it depends on what you are doing. So every single county and city has different regulations around specifically doing subdivides. So a subdivide, typically, if you're doing so they call them minor and major. Technically, there's platics on subdivides, but let's just skip that for right now. Minor, simple process, get some paperwork signed. Sometimes in a county, a rezone is like a huge deal. In Hernando County, Florida, rezone is neighbors, public hearing, full board meetings. It is really, really intense because that's a very dense area. In some areas, like in rural Arkansas, where, 3 hours outside the city or 2 hours outside of it, oftentimes there's not even zoning. They're like, what's zoning? Like, oh, sorry, I thought you had zoning. So it depends on your area. If you're taking a 25-acre property and you're cutting it up into 100 lots with cul-de-sacs, utilities, sidewalks, gutters, you better believe there's going to be a public hearing. It's going to be a major subdivide. It's going to be a lot of steps. Typically, though, the more steps there are and the more complexity, the more money there is to be made. It's just going to take longer and there's a little bit more risk.
Yeah, so you're able to go through that process, and you're evaluating now deals that you're doing and saying, hey, I'm not going to try to buy it, turn around and sell it for a higher price immediately, one sell. I'm going to divide it. So I'm going to go through some steps, some paperwork, making sure all of that happens. And then I'm going to make multiple sales. But as a result, I'm going to increase the amount of return, but it's just going to potentially take me
more time,
an extra 50% or 75% more time to get it done. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. I'll need a project manager, so someone that's going to run ops on it. It's a project. We've mentioned offline, we were chatting before about, you're going to probably need a civil engineer to come in and say, hey, in this area, there are potentials for sinkholes. So you need to make sure there's no sinkholes. Okay, who does that? I have no idea. By the way, you guys, I did not know what a deed was 5 years ago. This is not something that I have had to learn this from scratch. AI has been a massive, massive way of me retaining and learning knowledge extremely quickly. But I didn't know. I literally, on ChatGPT, I'm like, my engineer is saying I need to look for sinkholes. Like, who do I call? They're like, you need to call a geotechnical firm. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, these are all these people that have to be involved in the process. And so it's expensive. It can be expensive too. You might have to pay due diligence money up front. Sometimes you realize that the water line is only 5 meters, and to support 200 lots, it needs to be 10 meters. You need to rip out the whole water line. Now it's $1 million more than you thought it was going to be. Right. So this is the game that we play now, but now we're talking 7-figure opportunities and not $10,000 to $20,000 opportunity.
Well, first and foremost, don't feel bad about not knowing about deeds. I mean, Russ can't spell deed, and he's a very successful guy. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you figured this out. This is your new path. You start building this, but in the meantime, you're like, I need to keep the lights on because it would look really bad for me to have this business and be bankrupt or out on the street, right? 100%. So what was the next step in your iteration to then, how do I take care of home base?
Yeah. So the next step was really to make sure that I have my ducks in a row for the consulting business. So, and my first love with the tech piece is the lead generation piece. So I am a sales gal at heart. And so I started realizing the land investing space, it's so old school, a lot of mail being sent to generate leads. So I came in with some solutions that help people start doing texting to landowners. We got AI calling going now. We've got cold email campaigns. So really helping people generate leads. So that is a group room. Yeah.
AI calling?
Oh, yeah.
Explain that.
So AI calling is, it's called conversational AI is kind of the overall term. But AI can sound like a human being. So we can set it up to say, hey, first name, calling on behalf of blank. Just was wondering if you are interested in potentially getting an offer on your land in city name. We'd love to have a conversation if you're open to it. If they say yes, it's pretty quick. We move them quick to a live transfer. This person is not doing negotiation. They're not asking a million questions. It's literally, are you open to this conversation? But it sounds like a human, and I'm happy to demo it if you guys want on the call. It's pretty fun.
Demo it with Joey, because this would be the most amazing thing in his life, that to be able to speak to a computer that sounds like a human.
It's you guys. We can then just keeping the lights on. I'll fast forward to AI, but AI, I talk to it every morning. I literally go on a walk. I plug it in. I can talk to it. It knows like everything about me. It knows all my trauma, all my life story. It knows my businesses. I say, okay, this morning I need you to be Ed Milet. I need you to be Ed Milet right now. I need you to mentor me. Ask me questions one by one to get the conversation started. And it talks like a human. And the best advice, preparing for crucial conversations. I used it the other day to help my friend through a relationship. She was about to have a conversation with her partner. I'm like, let's role play it with chat. It's wild.
Wait, so you're saying there's a real possibility somebody could replace their business partner with AI? Say, like, just for instance, if somebody's interested, there's a real possibility.
I mean, let's just how far do we want to get? We could absolutely not replace, but 24/7 we now have access to a mentor that knows information about anything in the world, like an expert at anything in the world.
Are they good on a podcast? Just as a for instance.
Incredible.
Okay.
They're so good. They're free. $20 a month.
There was nothing worse than walking into class when you're in school and the teacher saying, "Pop quiz day." Why? Because you were unprepared. Are you unprepared, though, for financial freedom?
Don't be. Find out how close you are by taking our 30-second quiz at wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/quiz.
You were just talking about in the land world, right? You're trying to get out of the archaic snail mail to getting to text messages to ultimately getting on the phone. And the thing that most people hate doing is doing cold calling. And so they're very apprehensive of doing it. If they're having a bad day, when they get on the call with the person on the other end, that's going to come across. And AI doesn't have a bad day. It has the same day, every single call, regardless if it's 10 for 10 or 1 for 1,000, it's going to have that conversation. And it's not asking for a day off. It's not asking for a raise. It's like you're creating something that's then getting it to the person who can then negotiate, as you said. So what does that look like? So the person says, yes, I'm open to it. And it's like, hold 1 second. Let me get like, Joey, our negotiator, on the phone.
That's right. Well, I wouldn't say it's the negotiator because, but I'd say our property specialist would like to, talk to you. I want to throw a huge caveat out there that calling cold leads that have never opted into you is illegal. So this is a risk that you need to be willing to take on your business. I have a very specific structure and process to this. So I just, people blanket, opt-ins, the whole thing. So let's just throw that caveat out there. I'm not an attorney.
Which, by the way, I do feel like at some point in the future, AI calling is going to get nixed. And here's my thought process around it is that the first time someone not like you, who's going to actually get a real person on the call to actually talk about buying and selling something, but there are people that are going to use the technology to actually buy said property from grandma, and she has a bad experience, and it turns out that her lawyer finds out that she actually sold it to an AI bot, not a real person. No, we got, all the FTC comes after it, right? So I think at some point in time, there's going to be limitations to it, but keep going. Sorry.
So here's what's going to happen. I have been to a couple different colleges talking about this, like ethical AI. Here's what's going to happen. the user of the AI has the ethical responsibility to create the best experience for their end client. It is very possible, like right now, if you called into my Sonos speaker was broken. Like that experience talking to their customer service is horrendous. It's all overseas. They barely speak English. They don't understand what I'm saying. I would have 10 out of 10 rather be talking to an AI that had the full-blown knowledge base of every single thing, how to handle something. Now, if I say, this isn't working for me, get me on the phone with the manager, yeah, like they have to be able to do that. A business's responsibility is to create an incredible experience for their clients. If they're using AI to do that, that's amazing. They can totally do that. That's their prerogative. If they're not creating a great experience using AI, that is the business's problem. It's the same thing. And my friend Kinsey is like, should I show my son AI? It's like, well, he's going to learn about it whether or not you want him to. Your responsibility is to teach him the ethical use. Should he write his paper in Spanish using ChatGPT? He could. That's cheating. And guess what? The higher power is going to take that up with you later. Like, that is unethical. It's unethical to take grandma and to rip her a new one and to have AI con her into something. That's unethical. But I think what's going to have to happen is, no matter what, if it was a VA that was conning her and saying that stuff, or it's AI, it's not really AI. It's the business owner's intentions that are the problem.
That's a great point. So you've obviously implemented this into your business to help create leads. What other ways are you using it in your business right now that maybe you're also sharing with other entrepreneurs?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's just start with kind of the major buckets. So we've got kind of sales and marketing. We've got HR. We have just like founder day-to-day mental health and like organizing the visionary brain, using it to organize my tasks, my schedule each day. It is my therapist. I'm using it. I am hiring a hustler, go-getter executive assistant. If you're listening and that's you, call me, text me. Go to my Instagram, Callan Faulkner. The job description. I'm getting resumes in. I feed that into AI, and I'm like, tell me, is this the right? I feed 10 resumes, and I feed their Strengths Finder, and it pings. It literally just sorts immediately. This is your list. This is why I think this person's the best. These are the interview questions. This is the exact test project I want these 3 people to do because I'm a little concerned about this part of their resume. What it's doing is it's taking the energy load, the cognitive load off of me for tasks that they don't really require a ton of my strategy. Go look at the resume. Which one is the best? Give me the top 3 and what interview questions and what test projects. Land-wise, I mean, it's, my God, I mean, almost every single part of the deal, like reviewing subdivide regulations. That is a pain in the blank. Like they're 100 pages long. Feed it in. I've got prompts that say, pull out. What does this look like? I'm very conversational with it. I just want to back up just 1 second. If you're like, what is AI? When I'm talking about using AI, I am typically using one of 3 tools. ChatGPT.com is the number one. It's called a large language model that came to market. It's kind of like the Google of AI. It was the first one that came in. If you're going to use it, you have to use the $20 a month version. It is way better. Don't ask me any questions about it. Just use the $20 a month version. The second one is called Claude, CLAUDE.ai. This is our content writer. So if I'm building a sales page, an email sequence, follow-up buyer emails, if I'm writing a lead magnet, blogs, website copy, emails, if I'm almost every day, or not every day, let's say like a couple times a week, I have a read a book in 10 minutes prompt. So I'll put in the book. It extracts the 6 key concepts with the best quotes, the stories that make sense for me in my business. That's what I'm doing in Claude because that content is so strong. The last one I use on a regular basis is called Perplexity. Perplexity.ai is replacing Google. I think Google will eventually get their blank together, but right now their search is horrendous. I have not used Google in months. Perplexity is phenomenal. It essentially does Google searches and synthesizes all of the answers using AI together. So land business wise, if we're building property listings, if I'm researching a market, if I'm pitching, I just did a pitch a couple weeks ago to a apartment developer on why my property was the best. 15 minutes start to finish, put in all the property information, put in the entire market analysis, got all the slides for the presentation, brought it into a tool and pasted the slides, it built the presentation for me.
Are you using any sort of like your own chatbot, which is like protecting the IP that you're creating to give you this, so that you don't have others getting influence into what you're getting back from it?
Yes. So a couple things on security. That's why I do want you to get the ChatGPT paid. So if you get ChatGPT paid, you can turn off. There's a feature that says improve the model for everyone. So that is turned off in my environment. Claude has an extremely safe backend. So I'm not scared about sharing my frameworks with Claude. I do have there are some AI projects, we'll call them. So inside of ChatGPT, they're called custom GPTs, where I can load in a bunch of information and then I can talk to it, and it has like all this information on the back end. So yes, I have some custom AI projects that think like me, that talk like me, but no one can see what's actually on the back end of that. So I can put my kind of a private knowledge base and instructions on the backside.
Okay. Now, so someone who's listening to you right now, they're already getting inspired that, okay, maybe I'm behind on this. I need to get ahead as an entrepreneur. I need to get on the front end of this. Outside of even just the land business, we have people in all sorts of passive income streams and ideas and active businesses that they run. What are the maybe top 3 ways that you see business owners that should be taking advantage of this, that they could go out literally from this podcast today and implement?
Yep. Okay. So first thing I want you to do, if you're like, what the heck is this chick talking about? I want you to go to chatgpt.com. I want you to get the $20 a month version. And the first thing I want you to do is literally just start talking to it like you would talk to let's just say a business coach, whatever you're working on right now. Like, what is the top thing that when you think of what's something I'm procrastinating doing that I don't want to do? Okay. Let's just say it's a hard conversation. You have to have a hard conversation with an employee. I want you to go into ChatGPT, and I want you to, this is the 4-part framework when we're talking to it. I want you to tell it who you want it to be. I want you to be the author of Crucial Conversations. Then give it some information. I'm about to sit down with my employee, Rick. He is an amazing employee, but he is late to every single meeting. That's the information. And then we tell it what the request is.
Could you just substitute Rick for Joey?
So now with Joey, here's the deal. Love him to death, but Lord, he is so annoying. He won't stop talking. He is so chatty. And then the request is, I need to think of a script. I need a script built to help me with the conversation. And at the very end, we say, please ask any clarifying questions. Just go ask it that. So Roll, what do you want built? You're writing an email? Hey, I need you to be an expert email copywriter. I'm writing an email to a potential developer. I really want them to be excited about this piece of land that I have. Can you please write me an email that's going to make them feel excited? I tell people a lot. Tell AI what you want your end user to feel. What do you want them to think? And then please ask any clarifying questions. If you don't know anything, if you're still like, I have no idea, go into ChatGPT and explain what you do. Who are you? So I'm Joey. I run a podcast called Wealth of Wall Street. I have a couple different businesses. I'm honestly just trying to figure out the top 10 ways of using you. I have no idea how to use you. It doesn't make any sense. I'm very new to this. What are 10 ways you think I could use this? Please ask any clarifying questions. And it's going to work back and forth with you to figure out ways to work with you. So an example for you guys, every podcast transcript you guys have, that should go into AI and it should put together 4 content pieces. It should write the email to your whole organization in your brand voice, in your tone, with why this podcast was great. It should auto write the show notes in a couple clicks. Just pop that transcript in there and it should just feed out. But part of it is asking AI, how can you help me automate my business?
So, Callan, I love the fact that you're pointing out the simplicity behind this, because I think when AI first came out, there was this idea that you had to know exactly what the prompts were to get any sort of results that were valuable. But as you're explaining it, either AI has gotten that much better, or you're just simplifying the process, that you just talk to it. And as you're explaining this, I'm hoping as an entrepreneur, you're listening and saying, as long as I set the stage for what I'm trying to accomplish, who are the players involved, right? who am I as the business owner? What am I trying to accomplish? And who's on the other end? All of a sudden, now I can put together what you're looking for.
That's right.
And even to the fact of, I don't even know what to ask you to help me with, but this isn't who I am. It immediately can tell you those things. So first of all, thank you for helping people to like discern, cut through the noise, so to speak, on this AI side.
Totally. It is noise. And you know what? I have an 8-week AI program. I think it's the best in the world. I tell people all the time, show me a better one. It is amazing. The core, the first step of my framework, it's rewire, build, and scale. Rewire. We are literally rewiring brains. When you sit down to do anything, I had posted, well, not anymore. I'm rewired. But I tell people, put a Post-it note on your computer. How can AI help me with this? And even if you don't know, you just go ask, hey, I'm sitting down right now and I have this CSV file of like all of my financial data, and I'm feeling super overwhelmed having to go through and mark all my expenses, what category it's supposed to be. Can you be an IRS agent or a bookkeeper and help me through this? I don't even know if you can help me. Can you help me? Here's the CSV. Start working back and forth. Let's see. A lot of times people will come to me and they'll say, oh, gosh, I need to figure out how to have AI help me build out my meal plan. How would I do it? Why don't you ask AI? I need to build out my meal plan for a family of 4. My kids are allergic to tree nuts. My husband hates tomatoes. We need to have leftovers for dinner for lunch. I like to make extras and freeze it. Please ask any clarifying questions. I need a meal plan for 7 days. I follow these macros and we eat paleo. Also, I shop at Trader Joe's. So then also, can you please include a grocery list? You know, my brain thinks like this, like also. But that's why the please ask clarifying questions at the end kind of takes care of like making sure you didn't forget anything.
The please asking clarifying questions, my guess is that the system has been built around that. And so then it is going to come back and ask what those things are. And you're just going to get better at prompting it from this point forward.
That's exactly right. That's literally the first 3 weeks of my training is learning prompting. And it's called prompt engineering. I hate that. Why do I hate that? Because prompting is a set of instructions. It is literally you taking what's in your mind of what you want and putting it into words. If you're a really technical person, you actually naturally aren't very good at prompting because you're so technical that it's hard to take a thought and get it out verbally. That my sales background, I have a pretty good understanding of that. I mean, that's pretty natural for me just to be able to get a complex thought and like put it into simple words and give instructions because I feel like I'm a good teacher. But that is the skill set we're looking for to be very good at AI. And I think that's a little bit of this rewiring too. Like, oh, I'm not techie. Great. You're going to be even better than this. My technical folks have a harder time communicating back and forth with chat because you're truly just talking to a person.
Tribe.
And there's a chance.
There's a chance, y'all. That's why I love it. There's a chance for all of us.
Yeah. Tribe, are you getting some ideas for your business? Are you figuring out ways that you can maybe be more efficient and effective with the dollars you have as you're trying to invest? Have you figured out like this is a tool that not only can help you with personal finance, it can be a motivational coach. Like I'm going to get off this podcast. I'm going to say, how do I talk to my partner? Nicer, right? Like how do I communicate better? How do I be a better friend? How do I be a better everything?
Like my son and I are not connected right now. My son and I aren't connected right now. This is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling sad about it. I don't know what to do. Please ask me clarifying questions and help me make a plan for this weekend with him.
Yeah. Tell me how to get out of those jobs that I don't want to do. Like what are the greatest ways to talk about that?
Yeah.
It sounds like basically what you've shared, Callan, is just a way for us to upgrade a lot of different things. But I love the fact that it all started with you working in a W-2 environment and then figuring out a path that allowed you to use the value that you had gained and start giving value to others and being rewarded both by selling property and now doing the subdivide, doing 7-figure deals. I mean, that's amazing. Kudos to you. Like, that's a thing that I'm sure whenever you first started doing the land flipping, you heard about a lot of small transactions. You're like, it's gonna take a while, But now this is probably like unlocked, just like AI has unlocked everything, right? Like that's unlocked stuff for you. And thank you for sharing this. If our tribe would like to connect with you, whether I'm assuming it'd probably be around how can I optimize my business, maybe land or whatever, with this AI technology, where would you send them?
Absolutely. Well, I think we've got a link here. We've got wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/REI optimize. It is reioptimize.com. I'm also pretty active on Instagram with a lot of prompts that I'm using. This weekend, I did a full 2025 planning using AI. So I have my 10X vision using Ben Hardy principles. It's incredible. So yeah, connect with me on Instagram, shoot me a DM. I love talking about this. It lights me up beyond belief because I think it's one of the first ways where we're able to activate people to their highest potential, getting them out of the muck. We don't need to be doing that little basic stuff anymore, spending an hour writing an email or a sales page. No, let's get up higher. Like, what do you really want to do? What lights your soul on fire? Yeah. So it's been really fun. Thanks for letting me share today.
No, I love it. Thank you for coming on, Tribe. Thank you for listening. Found value. Definitely take time to go wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/REI optimize. And you can connect with Callan there. And also take a screenshot of this and post it somewhere on social and tag us just so we know we need to create more content just like this for you. Have an amazing day.
This has been the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show to break free of the Wall Street mindset and begin building wealth on your own terms in places you understand so that your wealth will never run dry. See you next episode.